Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're having another episode of Conversations with Channelers, and today we're happy to have Mary Amy on, as well as Robin, who channels Athena in Truth. Welcome, Amy. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you.
So we wanted to give people who maybe were curious about channeling or don't know anything about channeling some ideas and some uh, signs, I guess, to look for if they have experiences happening and they're not quite sure. So we'll start with you, Amy. Can you tell
It's Mary.
Mary? Sorry, I said that wrong. I'm used to, yeah.
No worries. It's a common thing.
Yeah. So we'll start with you on what were your initial experiences? Like, how did you know something was occurring that was outside of your normal, or was it always with you from a very young age?
I definitely experienced something unusual from a young age. I would say I was even a child because I had a near-death experience, which I've shared before. And so I saw light and I was definitely touched. My heart and my soul was touched. So it was something that I always felt that I was different. I always
Mhm.
felt as though I was coming from a place that no one really understood me. And so I lived kind of in a world by myself. And as I grew up, I realized, in my teenage years, I was more or less empathic and I could tune into someone and know exactly what kind of personality to make them like me. I was aware of premonitions, something that was going to occur in the future, events, either with myself or with others. And I tapered how I was basically dealing with my life because I kind of knew what I should do and what I shouldn't do.
Okay, that's interesting. So how old were you when you had the near-death experience?
2.5.
Oh, okay.
And then I
That
had
was
one
really
at
young.
7 as well. I had one at 7 as well. So it was very young. And I was fighting for my life both times.
Mm.
So it kind of brings you to a place that you realize how much power you have because you don't pass away.
Hmm.
You cheated death. Like I say, I cheated death.
Hmm.
I'm not fearful of death,
Yeah.
but because I have so much I want to do. But there's something to be said for me. I believe that we can kind of choose when we're going to die, or we're going to know. We can kind of know within us when we're going to pass, at least from
Hmm.
this physical reality. I mean, we're obviously taking another form. We're going to another reality, another dimension, another place.
Right. Yeah. When you were talking about your near-death experience, I had been watching recently a show, I can't remember the title, but it was on Netflix and it was about people that had near-death experiences and um, very much describing, what you described, that they had these intuitive things. And I'm always also reminded of the Anita Murjani book, Dying to Be Me. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but she was very sick and wasn't supposed to live. And she had this near death experience and realized the ability she had to heal herself and come back. And she did. She came back, healed herself, and she's been fine ever since. So I think that experience of seeing that and being clued into the power that you have is probably definitely somewhat responsible for the things that you can do now. Yeah.
I guess so. I don't think that I'm any different than anyone else. It's more or less that it's kind of fallen into my lap, and it's something that most everyone can tune into. Everyone has their intuition. Everyone can break open that side of them. It's just that we haven't really been influenced in this world to be living that way. It's more
Yeah.
seems to be something that's more of a niche
Yeah.
arena.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And Robin, maybe you could share, I know you did last time as well, but some of your things from, I know in childhood, one thing that comes up for me is how you knew, maybe you could share the experience of how you knew that your husband was going to be your husband when you were
Mhm.
only 13 years old.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, we had our classes switched, and it could have, these kind of things could have maybe happened before, but I have to say, when it happened, even that day, at the age I was at, maybe you're still connected enough where I didn't even find it strange. I didn't even think to myself, where's that coming from, or who said that? I just know what was said, and I believed what was said, and actually what was said happened. So we changed classes. We were all separated out, and the school was full that year. And for some reason, they decided to rearrange our classes. And I walked into the classroom, and there was a seat sitting open next to my now husband, which is getting close to 50 years now. And I looked at him, and just a voice in my head said, "There's your husband. Take a good look at him." And I thought, and I felt so sure and so confident of it that I sat down next to him, and here I was at a little girl at 13, and I said to him, "You don't know it yet, but you and I are going to be married someday." And I remember him looking at me like, that is the most, who would even think of that at 13? And then really from that day forward, we were together. We were friends all through junior high, and then dated through high school. And then shortly after we graduated high school, we got married, started a business together, and had the two boys that we have now, and we're still going. So that's kind of like, I find that a little odd because I didn't question it. And I think the problem with most people is they don't believe or have enough confidence that this is a given for everybody. But it's your belief system or how you think it has to happen that really inhibits you from having the experiences that maybe you could otherwise have. So I think just that belief in, and why I had the belief then, I don't really know, because it wasn't, at 13, I wasn't really using anything. I always had the empathy. I didn't look at that as a gift. I looked at that as a detriment. I didn't like it. I would be somewhere and feel a certain way and not know why I felt that way, and often want to get out of the situation. And it wasn't until my adulthood that I realized, oh, there's somebody here that's feeling this way. And I would just go right into my body. And the other thing I noticed is when I would go places, people like to dump their stories on me. And I think, why are you telling me this? They would tell me out of nowhere in a store, that their husband left them, and they had, two kids, and all the problems that they were going through or whatever. And they always felt like, for some reason, that I was the receiver of this kind of material. But so that was something that was always going on. But, I don't want to take up too much of the broadcast time here, but probably about the age of 20, I was doing a lot of reading and study. I like to read about channelers. I like to read about Sylvia Brown, like all of these different mediums. I just really was interested in it, and it resonated with me. And, I did that and would talk to my husband about it now and then. He'd say, "Hey, I'm busy with work. Maybe sometime when I retired, we could talk about it more." So I just kind of did that on my own. Of course, we were running our business, and I had two kids of my own, so not a whole lot of time to pursue much else. And then my kids left for college, and that was a big whammy to me because I loved being a mother. I loved having them home. It felt like grief. I mean, it felt like a really difficult time for me to let go of that part of my life. And that's when I really kind of was digging into more of the reading and some of the techniques, and whether it happened because I was doing, I used to do chakra work before I would go to bed at night and breathe into each one of my chakras, and some of the books that I had read followed practices. And long story short, I had what was called the Kundalini rising experience. And that really changed things for me, because that was the first time that everything I had ever read about, I felt it, I saw it, I heard it. And so it became real to me, like a concrete thing that I experienced. So it was like proof that, hey, you're not imagining this, this really exists. And I would say over the next 20 years, I spent that time just studying and reading and gathering all the information I could about that experience and about all metaphysical experiences. I've read just thousands of books. It's just something I enjoyed doing. And then out of nowhere, then I had the experience of becoming a channeler. And it started first with what you would call light language. My arms were moving a lot. There was a lot of really this type of thing. Yeah. but the whole body and my face started moving. And I actually recorded it and I'd show it to my husband. I said, I don't know what is going on, but something's pulling my mouth and my arms are moving. And I actually had a good friend that was a channeler. Heidi, you know her too. And I already told this on a previous show. And she said to me, you have a group of spirits that are wanting to speak to you. And I said, really? And she was trying to sound out the names of them. And she actually got one of them just exactly right. And I would say about 2 weeks after that session that I had with her, when we talked about it, they actually, instead of just moving the body, I actually felt this breath get drawn in. And that was when Athena first arrived. And the question I had posed was, because I was never a very confident person. I was a chubby girl growing up, got picked on a lot. And so I didn't have a lot of confidence, even though I outgrew that Robin or that part of my life. I kept that wound with me. And so I was just kind of posing to myself in a meditational state, when am I going to get it? I'm 63 years old and I'm still not feeling confident. And, I'm good at things, but yet I always feel like easily overtaken by, like in a sport or whatever. I play a lot of tennis and it would take very little for me to lose my confidence. And so I just brought that up. And that's when the breath came in and the announcement of Athena. And I can't think of really a better example of a woman in her power and in her confidence. And I have to say, the first time in my life that I ever felt that wave of confidence was really at that moment. And so that was kind of the beginning of it all. And it's just evolved in many different ways. It's only been several years and it was difficult at first and strained, lots of sweating, writhing around. And now it's become this very fluid, smooth, easy. I'm what's called a conscious channeler. Does that mean I'm aware of everything? Not really. I kind of forget right after the channel. It's like waking up from a dream. I remove my consciousness and they fully occupy and take over my whole body when I do it, but they're always here. So I'm not one that needs to close my eyes and do anything or wait for a length of time. They're thought induced. So if I think, I wonder what they're thinking about that, boom, they're in. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. And, there's just so much to tell after that Kundalini rising. That is still an ongoing process for those that are interested in that. There's phases that you go through. Right now, I'm like a lot of Kriyas. There's a lot of circular movements, and when the energy is moving, it moves your entire body, and it really feels strange to have something manipulating your whole body, and you're just totally relaxed. And I could be thinking about my grocery list, and this is going on. So it's like a separate consciousness that's kind of running its way through your body, and so it comes in waves. It'll go on for couple of years or a couple of months, and then you'll have nothing for a while. And I've kind of come to the acceptance of this is how it's going to be. I don't try to control it. I don't wonder what's going to happen because of it or how long it's going to last. I just kind of allow this to happen. And that's probably been one of the best lessons that I've learned from all this is I don't have any expectations and I don't really always know what's going to happen, but I'm very comfortable with what's happening, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Amy, for yourself,
Mary,
I know that.
so funny.
I'm still calling you Amy. I apologize. I don't know why I have Amy stuck in my head.
Okay.
Probably because it's Mary Amy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just
Mary,
say one? I would like to just
absolutely.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your timeline, all of what's happened to you, because it's nice because it's validating to me because there's some similarities. And I sensed that automatically when I came on here. It just felt like this just warmth coming from you ladies, like just, this, I don't know, this not bestie thing going on, but something that was just very welcoming. So I just thank you for sharing that because I appreciate
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mary, for you, I know that you mentioned having this happen, your near-death experience at a very young age. So this question, I'm not sure it will always apply to someone who maybe had this experience for the first time as an adult, but in your personal life, in your relationships, has everyone always been aware of how you are with spirituality, or is this something that is a private thing in your life that not everybody knows about, or is it something that you feel that you can't share with everybody, or you're completely open? How has that experience been for you?
it's changed over the years. I can say
Mhm.
currently in the present day, everyone knows how I am. And they turn to me and they actually, it's very funny because I don't know what kind of energy I give off or what um what is understood about me, but
Mhm.
people will say if I give interject my opinion about something, they say, "Well, Mary said." I'm like, "Well, wait, hold on. Why are you using that as an example?" And it's because there's something I think they know that I'm coming when you say spiritual to me, I'm coming from a place of love for others and
Mhm.
compassion and forgiveness. And
Mhm.
that wasn't overnight. I mean,
Yeah.
that's through my life because I got knocked down. And
Mhm.
so it was personal for a long time. However, I was always someone that was into prayer. I always
Mhm.
was aware of angels, something divine beyond us, source.
Mhm.
And it was major in my life.
Mhm.
So I guess in terms of what maybe in the outside world they consider spiritual, I was
Mhm.
attending church and I was doing that. But then as time went on, it actually became something else, which was books and reading and trying to figure out having self-realization, actualization, and discovering parts of me that were there, but I didn't really know how to identify them. And it was
Mhm.
because of something exactly what Robin said. It was about confidence, having self-confidence. It was about acceptance. It was about a willingness to just keep going and not shut it down. Because with these kinds of abilities,
Mhm.
it knocks on your door. And if it
Right.
knocks on your door and you say no, because I had clairaudience very years ago, and I would also see spirits come in when I close my eyes. And so
Mm.
I'd be like, whoa. And so now it's just in the last few years, the clairvoyance, yes, but the clairaudience, I was kind of a little fearful of what that was when I'd hear these sounds that came from a long distance.
Yeah.
It wasn't me, and it wasn't anything in the room or outside. It was from another place. So it's about acceptance and
Yeah.
willingness. And so to answer your question, I'm pretty much an open book. I mean, I've been doing hosting. I would say anyone who knows of me knows what I do.
Mhm. Sure.
And so I'm good with it. And I think that that's the way I'm going to keep going farther is by being that way. So
Yeah.
more of this will come forward for me. I'm fascinated by the full-on channeling that because I
Mhm.
can channel information, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm willing to allow something to come into me like that. Like you
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
That's a
Sure.
whole other.
Well, I know that that's a concern for some people, and it certainly
Mhm.
was for me when I started. And one of the first things I said on that very first day was, I remember my friend that's a channeler telling me that her group allowed a negative energy to occupy her body so she would know what it felt like. And I thought, I don't ever want that. I don't ever want to feel that. I don't want
Mm.
to know it, see it, or hear it. And so they made the suggestion, and they always say they are the keepers at the gate. And originally, when I first started doing this, they were all naming themselves. And after a while, the names didn't really matter so much. So there have been more that have added, but it'll always be by their discretion or their determining. So one of the reasons that I am the way that I am, like I could pop right in right now, you'll see as we get into this, is because they're always there. They're thought provoked and they are the keepers at the gate. I don't need to surround myself in white light. I don't need to worry about anything negative coming near me. And I feel very protected in this arrangement that I have. So I think that this works really well for me now. Whether I think people don't realize either, this is like any other creation. If you decide to become a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, whatever it is, you're going to study, you're going to have a passion for it, a desire to become it. And you have more control over this process than many people think that you do. And so I've been very specific on how I want to feel, how I want to happen. I'll give you an example. I had a session with someone who was quite ill, both physically and some mental things too, a lot of anxiety, a lot of trouble in her life. And prior to the session, I got very sick, and I felt faint a few times. I was trying to do my spin bike like I normally do in the morning, and I wasn't feeling good. And I never related it to the session. However, I was thinking about it, and as I thought about it, they were joining me, as they often do, on the bike. And so I got off the bike, still not feeling real great, not thinking anything about the session. And about an hour later, I went up to my office, and as soon as I got on the session, I got hit with the full wave of not feeling good. And I had to stop a couple of times. I felt like I was going to pass out. I didn't like it at all. And I had a very difficult time getting through that hour session. But I was even thinking, I don't know if I'm going to do this again with this client. And I just said to the group, you know, I didn't like that. I didn't feel good all morning. I didn't feel good the rest of the afternoon. And this is not what I signed on for. And so that's never occurred again. And then they would say, well, we were just having a little feel. And it's easy for us to be a better service if we have a really good idea of what it is somebody is experiencing. But I don't really want that happening to the degree that it's on me as my experience. So whether they are still getting the read that they need to get by not doing that, I'm not sure, but it doesn't happen anymore. So what the point I'm trying to make is I've made those specific requests and they've been honored.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mary, would you say that your process has evolved significantly from when you first remember to where you are now, or have things pretty much always been as they are?
No, 1,000,000%. The more that I was intrigued, the more that I was accepting of it, then the more it came through. It was more fluid. And I look back and I can remember how I would, when I was doing a reading, you know, I'm somebody, you know, I could read someone across a room and then I get more if I hold their hand and then I just hear one word out of their voice, you know, one word that they say. But now as time has gone on, I'm around somebody I completely don't know somewhere and I'm getting information from them. I'm not even trying to tune in. But I'm also, I think, more wise about all of it, and I'm not so fearful, because at first I was kind of scared. And you know, I went through phases. I'm so sorry, I'm like fighting a cold.
Oh, no worries.
I sound, it's like as time goes on, I'm like, I feel so bad for everybody hearing me. But as I've gone on, I went through a phase where I was doing house clearings. I was dealing with negative energies or entities or demons or very like dark paranormal stuff. And then that was too much for me. It was similar to what Robin said, where I said, this is not, I can't do this, because I did not have the skill set to handle it. I didn't know what I was coming up against. I didn't know the boundaries. I like to know the boundaries. I go into a space, I deal with someone and I figure out their boundaries in like in 1 second. And I didn't like that. I didn't know where it began and where it ended. And you can't have control over that. But now I could tell you that I know how to deal with those kinds of, I guess, dark forces. And I'm smart enough to know, like, I don't know how that's going to go. I don't think I'm going to do that. Now, I did a lot of corporate events, and I did events where I'd get 30 people in a night, and you don't know who you're getting. So you could get someone that has something, and then you're like, oh, you know, luckily it's only for a few minutes, and then they're on their way and you wipe it off. But I definitely have had a learning curve in relation to this kind of work, and I'm still going. I'm still encountering that. I have so much more to learn, and I know that I'm expanding every day. And I'm fascinated by channeling, like what Robin does.
Robin, we'll go to you. And if we have listeners that are like you and Mary and have curiosity about channeling, what can you think of anything that you could offer them that might be beneficial for them experiencing similar things to what you and Mary experience? Is there tips or things?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think it's like anything else. If you have a really strong desire, you're very interested in it, chances are that this is something that's perhaps coming to you or that you worked on in past lives. We've had many people ask the group, was this something that was blessed on this person or any reason that they had gotten it as opposed to someone else? And their answer to that is very simple, that there is nothing that is not created, that you do not create for yourself. And that includes channeling. So whether you have done it in this life or you worked in agreements in past lives with those that are going to work with you, this is very much something that you create for yourself. So yes, if you love it and you continue to watch other channelers and you continue to read other books and study it and you're in your joy and your happiness while you do it, you are in a creative state, and there's a good chance that you'll align to it. And whether it be this life or an upcoming life, that would be to be seen. That would be your journey that you are on. Many people will ask me exactly what I did and will I teach a course on channeling? And my answer to that is I could certainly tell people some of the things that I used, but what I have learned the most is that it is through alignment that you manifest. And by alignment, I mean by following your own path, your own journey, your own likes, your own joy. And so to sit in a corner and hum when you really don't like doing it because someone else did it, or to force yourself into a silent retreat or whatever it is that maybe someone did that became a channeler, really wouldn't be good advice to someone. There is very much a path or a journey that is laid out for you. There's breadcrumbs that are thrown out, and you're to pick up the ones that resonate to you. If I liked working on chakras, I enjoyed it. It always resonated with me. I felt like they held a lot of information and discovery. So it was something that I was very much interested in and drawn to. Now, is this the thing or the reason for what caused the Kundalini rising and then caused me to become a channeler? I can't say that. I mean, sometimes I didn't know whether I was chasing it or it was chasing me, but from everything I can gather from the group, when I do channeling, is you are the creator of your experience, and that includes channeling. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how about you, Mary? Do you have anything you'd like to add to that for any people that have interest in channeling? Any tips or things for people to consider?
I believe that my experience is going to be my experience, and everyone who's encountering anything in relation to this kind of abilities or talents or just something natural as our intuition. It's going to be their personal experience. So it's going to come through to them, similar to what Heidi just said. It's going to come through. I mean, Robin, I'm so sorry. Yep. Robin, just now I'm getting the names.
Hey, that's okay.
Hey, come on, join the club.
It's all good. Because I learned that, when I started doing this professionally, I would speak to others and I would be like, how does this go? What's going on? And they'd say, listen, Mary, just follow kind of what's your blueprint, what's going on with you, because there's a special path that you're supposed to be taking. And you're going to only receive information a certain way. It's not going to be the same for anyone else. It's going to be your personal way of receiving it, which means that are there ways to kind of maybe bring it forward? I agree with the chakras, because I went on to become a chakra master, Reiki master, and then an ordained minister. When I did that, I definitely had this similar Kundalini awakening. I had small little awakenings, but not this very vast, expansive, huge light that came into my system as I did. And so I know that affected me. That's me. Might not be for someone else. I know little crystals or gemstones you place on your chakras throughout your body, meditation, spending time in nature, prayer, gratitude. I think a lot of it will come through if you're quiet and you have stillness and you turn everything off and you just listen. A lot of answers come through that way for me. That's for me. And so that's from my experience. That's what I can add to what Robin said.
And you mentioned you also had a Kundalini experience. When did that occur for you?
2015.
Okay. And I remember Robin just kind of letting me know when hers first happened, she had quite a bit of emotional upheaval because she thought that maybe she didn't have the full correct alignment of it. It kind of shot off to the side, or Robin, maybe you could explain that a little better.
Mhm.
How were you? Did you feel really wonderful after the experience, or did you have some emotional upheaval, things that had to kind of sort their way out of your system after that experience?
It was definitely both. It was very extreme. It shook me up. I there's not really an easy way to describe it. I think every day was a little bit different.
Hmm.
I my identity started to change. More of what I wanted, my desires were surfacing, and I was accepting it, and
Hmm.
I wasn't denying myself as much. I also had kind of these bursts of awareness where
Hmm.
everything just seemed almost like surreal. Um, I saw a lot of light when I would close my eyes at night. It would just, and I would have premonition dreams and visions. I saw animals, it's like spirit animals. It was all starting to make sense more or less. Like everything, there was pieces before, and then it was almost like I went, aha, so this is what's been going on with me. And then I
Hmm.
just said, you got to keep going and figure this out because this is what you've been given and you have to stop denying it. And it was about really allowing myself to be me because I had spent a lot of time in a place of criticizing myself, doubting myself, allowing other people's power to be over me. And I started to say, um, you know what? I'm a worthy being. Why can't it be? Why can't I do this? Why do I have to ask permission for everything? And I began not asking permission so much. And I
Hmm.
started on this journey. Um, and it's been wonderful. I wouldn't change it. I also had a feeling for a long time because I'm empathic. I would absorb everyone's moods and energy. So if someone was in a bad mood, I'd walk in, I'd be like, hello. And then I would absorb it all, or I'd try to help
Yeah.
them fix it. And
Hmm.
so I didn't really know how, I didn't master it yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now I can sit
You
back and observe.
Yeah.
you said something early that was really valuable to me that I really resonated with, and it was about as an empath, and I didn't really think about it until you said it, but it was so true for me also, was because you know so much what people want and how they want to feel, you start modifying yourself to accommodate that. And what
Hmm.
occurred for me, and I just realized it when you said that, and it was part of the whole awakening process, was after a while, I didn't know myself. I had modified myself to suit others to the degree that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how I felt about anything. I was afraid to have an opinion, whatever the opinion was. If I didn't agree with it, I was quiet. And if I did agree with it, I would not, I wouldn't say too much in case someone else didn't. I just kind of was feeling the whole room all the time. And so I think that is something that really evolved in me through this process, where I can be more of myself, and I can, not that I'm going to necessarily argue with anybody. I'm not really saying that, but I don't feel the need, as you said, to fix everybody or to make people feel better or change myself to accommodate everybody that I meet. That was very much, I think that's probably a, a poster pinup of what happens to an empath. And so I'm kind of glad to have, I would be told off and on that this is a useful tool or a gift or something. I never really saw it that way. I thought, well, I really don't want to feel how other people feel, you know. But I mean, I guess now, now in sessions. But here's the thing: when I'm doing sessions with people, I'm not doing it. It's coming through this other source that's using my vehicle to do it. And so even though I can very much perceive exactly where that person is at, what they're holding, what's got them stuck, you know, how they're feeling, I can feel all that. But because they're occupying my consciousness, it doesn't become Robin's responsibility or problem, you know? So, you know, that's probably one of the benefits for me in channeling that has helped a lot, is I can really step aside and allow that process to happen and not be affected by it like I might have been in my early years.
Hmm. I think it's so interesting when you both talk about the empathic part of things, because obviously I don't channel, but I have that
Mm-hmm.
shared thing with Robin with the
Mm-hmm.
empathy. And when you mentioned, going in a room and just feeling that energy, especially if someone is down or angry, and
Mm-hmm.
it just sucks into you and you feel like it's your responsibility. And it is very weighing on you. And my son is very much the same way. Like we'll be having a conversation and we'll be on a phone and he'll just hear the slightest difference in tone in my voice and okay, what's wrong with you? I know he just knows. There's nothing that I can fool him about. So that's, I think, important because empathy, although it's not full on channeling, I think that that is a way that your source is communicating through you. Allowing you to feel others is a kind of a form of a mild form, I would say, of channeling for you to be able to feel another's feelings. So I think that's important for people to know as well. Yeah. So, Robin, I'm going to ask if Athena wants to come through. And I kind of have a little unorthodox question. We'll see how they want to handle it.
As you can see, Heidi, we have arrived. Yes, there's no
Yes.
lag time at all for us. As
Yes.
Robin said, we are conscious channelers. So when we are thought about or called upon, we are here. See, what is
Yes.
it we could talk about today that you would find of interest?
Well, when Mary first started talking to us, she said that she felt a warmth, maybe even, I can't remember if she said this word exactly, but a familiarity. Is there affiliation between who Mary connects with and all of you? And do you know each other well in that realm as well as in this one?
As we have told you, Heidi, and others in past transmissions, there is nothing, hear this, nothing that is coming to you in your life that you are not party to, you see. We would tell this one, Mary, yes, that you are in conversation with today. It is her warmth that is being returned back onto her through those that she is meeting, through those that she is interviewing and attracting into the experience that is hers, you see.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what would be something that you would like to share with humanity, people today living their lives, that you think would be a really important thing for them to get? A simple task, something they could do maybe every day that might make their life a little better.
We're going to share what Robin thought was of great value to her, and perhaps others can use it too. You see.
Okay.
Humans go around all the time trying to figure out, how can I love myself? How is it that one gets to this point? Or what is self-love? We're going to give it to you in a nutshell. We've told you before, but we're going to tell you again. You are a tool that is being used by a high energy source that is you see. If you love the experiencer, the human, for the experience he's having, it's going to rise in its vibratory level and it's become aligned to that high energy source. But if you judge your human and you condemn your human for the experiences that it is providing you with, it's going to separate itself from you and you will no longer have access to the high part of yourself, you see. It's quite simple, loving yourself. Did you say you were going to do everything right? That you were never going to make a mistake? You did not. You said you would come to this plane, this contrasting plane, and that you would have experiences. Guess where those experiences are being felt from? From every lineage you have ever had, every life you have ever lived. How could you possibly judge the human that is you for the part of itself that it cannot even remember or that is even known to it? Your emotional responses, or the way that you think and feel, are not only coming from you, they are coming from the lineage and the past lives that you have lived, you see. You start to love this human, this tool that you have, and you're going to get a whole new response from all that is. Every time that human has a thought, a feeling, we don't call it good or bad, positive or negative. We're the transmuters of energy. So what we do in all that is we receive that thought or that feeling that you emit from that human that you are, and we know what you want. We know if you are sad, you want to be happy. We know that if you are lonely, you want someone with you. We know what it is that you are calling for, and we become that high, better, expansive choice that you had by the experience that you generated. But what do? You decide to judge the experience, condemn the experience, make yourself wrong for it, and stay in the sticky, thick, negative energy that it was created from. And what is the advice we would give you? When are you going to become the transmuters of the energy, such as we are? You have a decision to make. You can feel a negative charge of energy, and you can choose in your free will, in that free will that you are gifted with. How are you going to feel about it? Because whatever you release from that human, all that is receives it. If you continue to release the negativity over and over, you'll be the regenerator of the experience that you're not wanting. Choose. What do you really want from that negative experience? You know what it is. Send that to the universe and let it bring you the lovely life that you were meant to have. This is the advice we would give you.
Thank you. How about you, Mary? What would you like to share anything to the listeners? What would be important? Something that would be a tip useful that people could use in their lives that would make things better?
Yes. Thank you, Athena and Truth, for joining us. I agree. And I would like to say it's really about lifting ourselves up. We have so much power within us. We have so much light within us. It's just tapping into ourselves emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and identifying and knowing yourself more. First, it starts with tuning inwards and realizing exactly who you are, because really no one out here cares so much. Tune inwards, learn to accept yourself, find love within your heart and the light, and then you can branch it outwards and you can expand on your life. And you can do that by imagining in front of you some kind of portal maybe that you're transporting yourself through. And so here's the old life and there's the new life, or here's here's the past and there's the future, whatever you would like to consider it to be. And you're traveling through this doorway, this gateway, and it's a new beginning for you. And you're going to bring through everything within you, and everything within you is going to take you. If you listen to everything in your heart and your spirit, and you don't take in what others are saying, just purely your consciousness within you, and you go through that doorway to the other side, you will find that it's going to be a new personality, the best version of you, the most authentic version of you, and it's an exciting adventure. Now, after you travel through this doorway, this portal, you are going to realize there's so many others like you out there. And you're going to find them, and they're going to, like attracts like, and they're all going to be seeking the light with you. And you're all going to be coming from a place of a higher consciousness. And we're going to be speaking through our minds, and we're going to all come together. And so it will be the Athena in Truth and Robin and Heidi and Mary, and we'll all be there together, and we'll all be communicating in a higher consciousness, in a way that is love, in a way that is compassion, in a way that is the best for everyone, for humanity.
Thank you for that. Athena, would you have, I haven't tried this, so I thought this would be a good time to try this as well. And Athena, would you have any messages that you would like to share with Mary?
We really want to agree with you on the principle that you were talking about. A human has to love themselves in order to achieve the spiritual awakening or connection, let's use that term, that you are referring to. And so until you offer this to yourself, until you can really stop the judgment, stop the condemnation, stop the parameters of how a spiritual person behaves. This is one of the first things that we have debunked in people. There's no requirement. There's no particular practice. There's no absolute way of behavior that is expected in order for you to be permitted to have what is your birthright, we would tell you. All you need to do is believe it. You cannot receive the universe if you don't believe that it is there waiting to serve you, you see. Many humans don't have any trust. They don't have any faith. They don't have any belief. And we're going to tell you that even all that is must be believed in order for it to serve you. It's very important. And that would be the advice that we would leave you with. You have to know that it exists. You have to believe that it loves you. You have to reach out and ask and know that it is given. This is how you will get the life that you are meant to have. Good day.
Thank you. And Mary, do you have anything to offer to Robin from your guides?
Well, okay, let's see. From my guides, I would, let's see. So, cool. Can I do it? Hi, Robin. My name is Mary, and your name is
Robin.
If it's okay with you, I'd like to connect.
Absolutely.
Again, I'm seeing this. So I'm seeing in relation to you, I'm seeing, for some reason, it's like a jumbling of, it looks like a jumble of circles, balls, something that's jumbled together. That's all, it's become another, it was separated and it came together in form. And I'm seeing you actually right now outside, and you are, you have a full smile, complete smile from ear to ear, and you are just very much in joy outside with, I guess, alone. And I'm just trying to piece this together right now. And so I'm receiving that you've acknowledged so much inside of you that you hadn't in the past, and that you're allowing it all to come forward, like completely, like as though you're like on the pavement out like this. You're just flatline, and it's just taken over you, and you've accepted that, and you've embraced it. And there's something else that's coming into your life that's actually going to, in relation to this, it's another level. It's something else. I don't know if it's another, something else that you're going to channel, but I just received that.
That's funny you would say that, because she's been having that experience that's starting.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are completely accurate in all of it. Yep.
So I saw that through.
Yes. I don't know what it means yet, so I'm not really going to share it, but you are completely accurate that I do have another entity that is entering, and it's been in the process, I would say, over the last couple of months. It's very much a bodily process. It's almost as though your consciousness, in order to expand, you got to get rid of something or something you hold, things that you have within yourself. So there's very much a lot of bodily work going on, and it has announced itself. I'm not really ready to put it out there yet because it's kind of out there, but that is true. And as far as the pavement thing, if you knew me prior to this happening, it would be a cold day in hell that you'd see me talking like this on a show, and having people see me as something weird or not normal would be like my worst nightmare. And that's when I talk about how your consciousness expands, and one day you turn around and you think, how did that happen? How did I go from caring about what everybody thought about me and how I looked and how I was being perceived to just not giving a shit? I don't know how it happened. I didn't do it. So this is what I mean about that divine intervention of when you just kind of start to let go and believe in it and in yourself, the work gets done for you. People say all the time, I got to work on myself. I got to make something happen. I keep doing the same things over and over, and they're frustrated. And what do you do when you do that? You just create more of that frustration. You just get more of that behavior that you really don't really want to exhibit, but that's the way that you've been taught to fix it. And what I've realized is you're not the one that's going to fix it. You just have to decide to let go and believe in the process and allow the divinity within you to clean you out, to bring you to that person or place that you want to get to, in your belief of it and in your desire to have it. And you won't have to do any work. It'll just unfold very naturally. That's been my experience.
In regard to what this other entity, so what I just received was, so what the form that I saw, I think it's what it's what is happening, right? What you've been channeling right now, which is this, I guess,
Yes.
this very solid, and they're not letting any in. So
Yes.
what I'm receiving is, when you said it a lot, what do you say? A cold day in hell? It's a cold day in hell. Athena is not letting this other thing.
Well,
It's
in
gonna be like this
actuality, I mean, I
duel.
can share a little bit. It is tied in a little bit into the Kundalini rising that I had. And many people don't realize that this process of the Kundalini awakening is a many-year process. It can go on, for me, it's been over 25 years that this has been evolving. And there is the Shakti energy, which is the female divine energy that's at the base of the spine. And then it makes its way up through all the channels, which is a lot of the kriyas that you get. I mean, there's some wild bodily movements that occur that I don't do, that just automatically happen. And as they start to move to the top of the body and your head is really going, it's getting up there. And so the energy it's meeting is Shiva. So this is the spirit, or it's a 12th dimensional being that actually wants to unite with that feminine, the masculine energy and the feminine energy actually come together. And so that's what's coming. So I do know that, but how, I don't worry about it, how it's going to unfold, I don't know. The entity has just announced its name. It just happens. And so I don't really know what that's going to look like or how the channeling will change because of it. But just like I told Heidi, I don't think I mentioned it in this interview or maybe the last, but I never told anybody, but I had a knowing. I knew I was going to become a channeler. I never told my husband. I never mentioned it to Heidi or any of my friends because I didn't have the confidence. I thought, oh my God, I can't say that. And if it doesn't happen, I look like a fool. You know, why would I go around saying something that I can't really grasp or believe? And so I did know it. I knew it was coming, just like I know this is coming. But do I know exactly how it's going to unfold or what the transformation is going to be? Not really. I just know it's 12th dimensional beings are beyond form. It's going to be something a little bit more expansive, perhaps, than Athena is. But I don't think she's opposed to letting it in because it's already been in. But I'm not quite sure how that's going to unfold in the future.
Are they twin flames coming together?
A little bit, yeah.
They are, aren't they? Somebody's pushing their way in.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mary, would you have any final thoughts you'd like to share? Anything before we wrap this up today?
Well, I want to say that I'm really grateful that you invited me here today. This is an amazing experience. I know that it's going to develop for me, and just it's something that I've needed because it's another level. It's far beyond anything that I've experienced. It's something else entirely. And I appreciate both of you for allowing me to come here today. In regard to what I do, I basically am just here hoping and sending love to everyone out there and wishing good things for them, and everyone find something fulfilling that makes them happy, and to accept your desires, accept yourself, have self-love, and try tuning into your intuition. Try tuning into your clairsenses. I have a channel, and at the end of every hour, we do some psychic phenomenon exercises, and we go through, we drop down, we relax, we tune in, we drop down into our senses, and then I make a suggestion, and it's stretching. Stretching. Maybe you're not going to uncover and get everything like this, but we all are capable of having some kind of intuitive abilities, and some more advanced than others, but we're going to find it completely in a personal way.
Yeah. And if our listeners want to find you, why don't you give us how they could be in touch with you, your website information, or what you offer services wise?
Sure. My website is actually undergoing, but it's normal. It's getting redone. It's maryamyofficial.com. You can find my YouTube channel, Mary Amy. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Okay.
And basically, I do one-on-one. And I can do remote because I do remote healing work. I also can do, in person, phone, video. So whatever someone is looking for, whatever's meant to be.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. We really enjoyed talking with you. I can definitely tell that you're just a bright
Oh,
bright
I just
burst
want
of
to call her
energy.
a ball of sunshine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Robin, any final thoughts for you?
Well, I just want to tell all the listeners that Mary was very accurate in her assessment of what's going on with me, and I really appreciate the mini reading that she gave me. So I'd like to build her confidence so that she knows that that really hit the mark as far as I'm concerned. I do have a website. It's www.athenaintruth.com. I do private sessions. My lovely sister here, Heidi, helps me with all of my appointments, and we are presently doing a YouTube together every week. I do a podcast that's free for listeners that I do several times a week on different topics. And we are presently working on a course that we're going to offer based upon a book that I have that will be published the end of March. It's going to be called Choose Your Universe channeled by Robin for Athena in Truth. And I think that's all the details, Heidi.
That sounds really good. Well, once again, thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate your taking the time.
Yeah, it
Thank
was
you.
wonderful. Wonderful.